All right, so real quick, I want to talk about Marcus, or he makes the Cosmonaut Variety Hour and stuff like that. I saw his tweet, and I kind of want to respond to his tweet. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like it's you needed to talk about this. For me, there's a difference, right, between a game like Hi-Fi Rush, right? By the way, it looks amazing. I'm actually excited. I would love to play it, but yeah. Anyway, and Forspoken, right? Forspoken, people have a lot of things to say about Forspoken. There's a lot of negative. There are positives too to Forspoken as well. It just when it first came out, there was a lot of negative, right? Because of the way the writing felt like it was like some MCU esque writing. And when we say MCU esque, it's like basically like they're kind of meta with it, and then at the same time not really meta, and then at the same time they're like trying to put a joke in there, trying to force a joke sometimes, and it doesn't really fully work all the time. The best example is like Thor: Love and Thunder. That's a shit movie, but we don't talk about that, right? We're not talking about that. The point is, and Hi-Fi Rush actually has a very similar writing style. Um, Not too similar, not similar enough for me to say it's on par with like Forspoken. Because there's actually parts in Forspoken that I've seen that I actually genuinely had like a chuckle. Like it made me laugh. It was fine. I didn't have an issue with it. It was just one scene specifically where she was like, "Oh, I got powers. Oh my god!" And it felt a little like dragged out too much. It was like dragging it out. I was like, "Yeah, we get it. You got powers. Whatever." And the thing is, it's right. There's a difference for me. The way I look at it, and I can only go off of myself personally. The Forspoken clip that I saw, I thought like the first clip, when she was like when she first got her powers or whatever, right? And she was talking about it. I was like, I don't like it simply because number one, it's dragged on too long, and they was trying to force the fact that she was surprised that she had powers. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Another one I thought was and on Hi-Fi Rush, right? In the beginning of the fucking clip or of the trailer, they have they pauses. They're like, oh, well, was it? You know how they usually do like, yeah, this was me. That's me. Let's rewind back and talk about how we got to this point. Type, that whole comedy bit. It's overused as fuck in my opinion. Even in Hi-Fi Rush, I looked at it, I was like, okay. Anyway, but it wasn't that important. I just thought it was like it's overused at this point. You can try something unique again. But it's different from Forspoken because for me, I look at the art style. I'm like, this art style is unique, right? The way that the game it presents itself is very different from how Forspoken presents itself, right? Forspoken is just the isekai in game form, right? Which is fine. It's fantasy, right? And then you got Hi-Fi, which is this is his life, right? But at the same time, it's like it's drawn in a comic book esque way, so like they can get away with certain types of writing based on the visuals. I think the visuals and the writing style um, of the game or movie is very important, right? Because when it feels like Forspoken, it's supposed to be like realistic, quote unquote, right? And it's just like a lady gets dropped into this fantasy world and she got to figure it out. And I find that interesting because it kind of feels like Uncanny Valley esque when it comes to writing. Because if you're too spot on, it gets cringe, obviously, right? Because it's like I don't want you spewing the same shit I say every day at me, right? So it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. So I feel like when people see Forspoken, I'm like, especially a fantasy genre, I'm like, I don't want to see how I talk, right? I don't want to see that because it's like this is fantasy. I want to see fantasy. I want to see, I want to see a perfect writing style. But that's because a lot of people when they go to fantasy, they expect that. They expect a certain writing style because of what's popular and what people are used to. once you change that up, it's like, I don't know how to feel about that, you know? So it's hard. It's hard to really like. I don't hate what Forespoken does, right? Because there are some points in there that's actually funny to me, where when she was talking to the AI and they was bantering back and forth, and then she was like, she just gave up on an argument. She was like, "Shut up." I was like, "Okay, that's funny," but she says it differently. But you get the point. The point is like there are funny parts in there, and you can make it work. I just feel like here's the difference. I think one of the differences is when the scene is dragged out longer than it should be, it's very noticeable in games and shows like Forespoken, right? And then in games and shows like Hi-Fi Rush, they don't really like they don't what's it called? They don't like stretch out a scene to get a joke across, right? Because usually the people who write that type of stuff, they know how to write a joke without having without having to do too much. It's just funny, right? It's just funny because it's funny. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but basically, there's a bias, right? If I see a realistic game or a movie, I don't want them spewing the same shit that how I talk. You know what I mean? I don't want to see a mirror of myself, right? I'm trying to speak for as generally as possible. So like it's not fully for me personally, but genuinely or generally, most people don't want to see a reflection of themselves on the big screen or in a game, because I'm not here for that. You know what I mean? And so it's weird. We're at a weird place right now when it comes to like creating movies and TV shows and games. So that's my whole opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. Wolfie, what you think? Nothing? Okay. He doesn't have an opinion right now. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I just wanted to talk about this on my gaming channel. Peace.